Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the First Time Storytelling Broadcast. Now, before I introduce my guests, I want to once again, every day I'm going to do this, invite you to join me in the team of Next Level First coaches on the 365 First Challenge Facebook group. I hope I will be seeing you there. All right, so today on the First Time Storytelling Broadcast, my guest is Karon Hawkins. Karon is an online coach who specializes in biomechanic, efficiency, and nutrition. He was born and raised in Queens, New York, but currently lives in Pittsburgh. Karon is here to share the story of the first time he came to understand how powerful or what powerful breathing really feels like. I have to say, Karon, it's not a first that I've had so far. So I look forward to you learning what it does feel like and then how you came across it. I'm familiar with the Wim Hof method, but even that I have not fully engaged with it yet. So tell me, how did you even enter into this world where breathing and its power, you know, hit your radar and became an interest of yours?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you so much, Anne, for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be here. Um, to go into how I discovered, the power of breath, I have to give some context and a little bit of my story, as to why that was even important to me. So I went to Carnegie Mellon. I'm flash forwarding like through a lot of stuff, but went to Carnegie Mellon, studied information systems business, which is like a combination lightly of computer science and business. We mainly focus on how data is stored in multiple systems and things like that, and how to interpret that data for people who want to consume it, like a customer or a business, and making that relationship as easy as possible between some of the complex concepts that we work through, and then interpreting that for someone to just easily understand. So that's basically what my degree was about, interpreting complex concepts into easily digestible terms and words. So after I did that, I worked in cybersecurity for a year, and I decided that sitting at a desk was just not for me. I worked there for a year, and I think after the first month, the oh my gosh, I get a really fat paycheck. Oh my gosh, I can go get whatever I want. That wore off very quickly, and I understood very quickly that there was a higher currency with more value to me
Mm.
than money, and that was fulfillment and happiness. And I truly wasn't happy. I would snooze 5, 6 times. I would dread my 2-hour commute every day, back and forth. So 4 hours just commuting, not even at work yet. I would just hate every moment of it. So from that point on, I knew that this wasn't for me and I had to change things up. So I started researching some degrees because I was really into fitness. Wasn't always fit, wasn't always into fitness. I was pretty chubby slash fat when I was growing up, and I wasn't very athletic at all. But I got into dance, and that's how I kind of got into movement, and started lifting, and the whole nine, and kind of to where I am now. A lot of steps I'm skipping in between, but um, you know, I decided that I wanted to pursue a career in fitness. I wanted to pursue a career in movement and nutrition and helping people through that medium of wellness. So I looked up, the program that made the most sense to me in Pittsburgh, going back to a place I knew, had a big network. I figured, I could probably get a job somewhere. I could, network with people that I knew and just make it work. So I ended up applying for the sports medicine master's degree at Pitt, and I got denied in a week. And it was mind blowing. It was like, oh my gosh. I think when I applied for college, it took months for me to hear back. It's like, why is this denying me so quickly? And then I ended up calling the dean, and she said, you just don't fit the requirements. You don't have any of the prerequisites. There were like something like 6 or 7 classes that I needed to have, because sports med is a fairly complex degree with a lot of intricate details and concepts that you can't just walk into. You have to understand all levels of anatomy, physiology, and even chemistry to some degrees.
Yeah, and that's
So
not what you had studied. So,
no, not at all. So I had no background that was qualified to even get into that area. So I asked her if there were any alternative programs, and she told me there was the health and physical activity master's degree in the School of Education. It was kind of a mix between loosely, public health and exercise physiology, understanding how we can apply scientific concepts behind exercise physiology, or how the body responds to exercise at a deeper level, anatomically, but also, molecularly, cellularly, all that stuff, and apply it to a general population and serve people through understanding those concepts. How can we get people healthier? How can we, lower, heart disease and obesity, diabetes, all these things. So, I decided.
Before you continue, because I want to take note of something already in your story that's very clear, that you're an action person, and you when you know something's not right, you don't waste any time. You're the man on the spot. And so realizing, yep, this is not the type of work I want to be doing, making the shift right away, while some people have been like, well, I'm going to stick it out for a little bit, make a little bit, of money. And you probably had college loans to pay. People would just like, I'm going to suck it up. But you're like, no. And then you make the shift, you made the move, and then you get a no. And you're like, some people have been like, bummed out, disappointed. Like, you get on the phone, you make the call, and you find out why you don't qualify, and you ask the follow-up question. Okay, well, what can I do? And that's an incredible character trait that in life really take you forward. And I just wanted to acknowledge that, because that's not a norm, but it makes your life go a lot smoother, a lot faster towards the right direction to take
100%.
those actions. So, all right,
100%.
continue.
I just want to comment on that. Thank you so much. And I really do believe that action takers are the winners of the world, because they're not afraid of the no, they're not afraid of the failure. They look forward to it so they can understand how to circumvent it in the future. And I think that so many people need to stop being afraid to get denied, to get the no, to get the, I don't think you fit the qualifications. Because, at the end of the day, there's so many opportunities out there. But if you're not putting yourself out there, if you're not putting yourself in the game, you can't play. So that was my mindset. And I didn't really understand, what a go-getter was, or, you got to take action. It was just like, I really wanted this really badly. So in my mind, I wasn't taking no for an answer. I was finding some other way to make it work. So I applied to the health and physical activity program. I also needed a lot of prerequisites, but luckily these were common, because, it's a school of education. So there's multiple disciplinaries within that, college, if you will. And there were so many other people who needed the same things that I did. So they had a whole curriculum designed for people who weren't from a scientific or, exercise science background. So I was very fortunate. That being said, it was super hard, because I'm trying to learn advanced exercise physiology in basically a semester, because the program was accelerated. So it's only a year. So I'm learning, complex bioenergetics. I'm learning anatomy and muscular systems, circulatory systems, nervous system, endocrine system, all of these different systems of how the body works in basically a semester. So I was just cramming and trying to get as much knowledge as I could, apply as much as I could. Eventually, obviously, I graduated. That was an amazing experience. It was the best GPA I ever had. I worked the hardest in my life. I feel like I didn't really try as hard as I should have in undergrad, because I honestly didn't care as much as I thought I did. It was kind of spoon fed to me that you have to go to school and you have to do this, you have to do that. And I just did it because I was told to. And not that I regret any of that. I had a lot of great experiences. I learned a lot in college. I grew in college, intellectually, physically, mentally, emotionally. And those experiences were incredibly important. However, I knew that that's not really what I wanted. I wanted to be Shaun T. That was my big life goal for a very long time. And I've kind of moved past that a little bit, and I now say I want to be the next Coach Chronic, which is my Instagram name and kind of my persona, if you will. But moving forward, I graduated from school, worked at a couple gyms for a bit. I didn't do personal training, because a lot of big box gyms, they really cut the throats of the personal trainers. They pay them like between 15 and 20%, sometimes less at times, but they still require a minimal amount of hours. So you could be not getting paid, but you still have to be there. It's crazy. And that blew my mind. So I said to myself, I'll never do that. I'll never sacrifice, my soul the way I did for corporate America, where I was just at a place, even though I was getting paid substantially more, this is something I cared about, but I still wasn't going to sort of take an L, if you will, or take the short end of the stick. I was willing to work, but not for someone else's dream, essentially. So on the side, I started training people for free. Funny story of actually how I started training people, because I didn't have any qualifications when I first started. I first got back to Pittsburgh. The first weekend back, I went to one of my favorite bars. It was called William Penn Tavern. And I walked in and everyone was like, yo, you got to train me. Because, I'd posted every single day on Instagram and Facebook, my journey, just like, getting a six pack, losing the belly fat, all that stuff. And people were just blown away. And they wanted me to train them. And I'm like, no, I don't have any qualifications. I don't have insurance. Like, if you get hurt, I'm screwed. You're going to sue me and I'm going to, be screwed. And they just kept saying, don't worry about it. Just come on, just do it. Just do it. Just do it. So after just begging me to train them, I said, okay, I'll do it for free. And people would just like buy me food or something. And within the first 2 months, people started getting results and they were like, we have to pay you. We're going to pay you. So they were telling me, I want to give you my money. Yeah. So I was like, okay. And I charged $15 for a session for an hour. I charged $15 for students and $30 for adults. I had mostly students. I had so many clients, so many. I was traveling all over Pittsburgh, bus, running, walking, Ubers, whatever it took, I was going to get there.
So what did that feel like? Like what were you thinking? And because you're hustling and you're meeting all these people, you're making a difference in their lives. And like, what is that all like? And you're still working at the gym, right? As well. Mm-hmm. So what is that time for you like?
Stressful, but very fulfilling. There were many times where I wanted to quit because I wasn't making a lot of money at all. For those first 2 or 3 months, I wasn't making any money. And all I was surviving on was the, $7.25 an hour that I got at the gym. So, I struggled with like basic necessities like food and rent at times. And that was hard because I had to learn how to adjust in those situations because, I wasn't like poor when growing up, but I certainly wasn't well off. We were definitely not that great, but my mom made it work. She's a single parent, super strong. She made it work in any way she could and never let me feel the effects of her struggle financially, emotionally. She just kind of buried everything, which is in such a large burden that I could never repay her for. I plan to, I want to retire her at some point. That's my big goal. But in general, she never let me feel the financial struggles that other families might have felt in a single home or a single parent household. So essentially I was spoiled. I got whatever I want. And I wouldn't say that I asked for like something that often, but like birthdays, Christmas, stuff like that. She never let me feel like I was, less fortunate. Like I got the Xbox, I got, the shoes, or I got the new game. She would let me play hooky sometimes. I would be like, Mom, can we go get a game? And she'd be like, fine. And she would take me to GameStop and get me a game, like little stuff like that. She always made me feel special and she always made me feel like we were good. But fast forwarding to being an adult on my own in Pittsburgh, I didn't have that cushion because I chose not to have it. I know that as I grew older and I matured, I understood money a little bit more, and I understand the socioeconomic sort of disparity we have in this country. I understood that we actually were poor, but I didn't want to continue to lean on her. So I purposefully didn't tell her that I was struggling, had trouble with food and all that stuff, because I didn't want her to feel that stress and emotional burden anymore. I wanted to figure it out. And I said, if you had nobody, what are you going to do? You're going to call your mom? You can't. She's not there. So I put myself in that box to force myself to be more resourceful. So,
but at no point as you're struggling financially, and I mean, you could go back to the well of cybersecurity, which is going to pay you a six-figure or close to that, right? So at no point are you even considering that, because you're stressing.
No way.
You're down. Your money is tight, but you're still loving what this new place you're finding yourself in.
Yeah, it's kind of insanity. Some people looked at my situation and said, wow, what are you doing? Especially in Pittsburgh, where technology was up and coming. We have CMU here. We have so many universities and so many smart people. and a lot of tech companies started coming to Pittsburgh kind of when I started coming back. And, I can't say I could have easily gotten a job, but I definitely could have gotten a job. I have a CMU grad, IS in business. I could have been an analyst for PNC or, for Deloitte or something like that if I wanted to, but that's not my life. I didn't want to go backwards. My whole thing in life is never going backwards. I'm not there because I'm not supposed to be there anymore. Something I had to learn from that experience, something about myself or something new that I need to take forward. So what I learned was that that's not you. You don't belong there. You belong in the field, hustling, helping people, doing what you got to do. So it never even crossed my mind. Well, it did, but like the actual action of doing it, like, like applying, I never applied for any jobs. I never said, okay, Ma, we got to consider me coming back home. Never. She said, Karon, you can come back home whenever you want. I said, no, I'm good. I lied, but
yeah. And
do.
So I just wanted to really highlight that because that's an extreme moment of being uncomfortable when you can't provide for your basic needs and you have another option, but you have a path, you're supposed to stay on. And, and people don't understand that moment exists in people's lives, and it might exist. You might have to go there yourself to find that other path. But when you're there, you realize I can't go back. Like, I have to continue on this path. All right. So continue us on this path. So now they're starting to pay you a little bit.
Yeah.
Running around the city, meeting with your clients. What happens next? Yeah.
So I started, accumulating more success stories, more clients talking about me around campus. And eventually I came to the point where I needed to raise my prices. I said to myself, all right, $15 an hour is way too low. I could do something. So I went from $15 an hour to 30. I said, double, let's do 30. And I started making a little bit more money. And I said to myself, I see the potential in this. I understand that if I don't dedicate all my time, especially to making content on social media in a more professional, standpoint, as opposed to posting me doing push-ups or, with my shirt off, I think I can actually create a brand and a message with my stuff. So I decided to quit the gym. I was teaching group classes as well. And I was teaching around the city. So I was teaching at Carnegie Mellon, I was teaching at Pitt, I was teaching at Crunch, and I was doing the front desk stuff. So, I had like 5-6 jobs just trying to get something. So I quit all that. And then I just went fully into my business, and I hired a mentor, and he showed me the ropes of online coaching. Fast forward like 2 years, we worked together for a really long time. I just ended that relationship on a very good note. He taught me so much about so many things, and every dime that I invested in him was worth it. Now, to come back to the original question, breath and the power of it, right? I would say in around year 2.5 of me running my business, I ran into this Instagram page called Flowbility, and I was very intrigued by it because at the time I was very deep into a system called functional range conditioning, which the idea of it is that we receive injuries in, our joints and our muscles, et cetera, because the capacity of those joints and those muscles and et cetera have been breached, and they've just handled too much force. So like, your knee got messed up because your knee's too weak, or like your elbow got messed up because your elbow is too weak. And based off that premise, the logical conclusion was to strengthen those things and increase the mobility of those things. It made sense in practice, and it helped a lot of people for sure. However, there was always something missing. I always felt like I was small, if that makes sense, like compressed. And I wanted length. I wanted decompression. I wanted to be able to open, just feel open. And breathing was one of the things that I was missing. I think in my NASM textbook that I was studying for, breathing was certainly a part of it, but it never really got mentioned again. It was like a small snippet of everything. And there's a lot of great information in that book. They just don't really talk about breathing that much. And when I first ran to Flowbility, it was all about breathing. There was no back squats. There was no lunges. There was no
So is it in breathing in what sense? Because people, so you have breathing in like meditation, you have breathing in your workout, breathing prior to your workout, in setting your mindset, like frame the breathing if you can.
The breathing is the workout.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think the perception of breath work is like preparatory, or it is a, afterthought, meaning after your training, or it's more meditative, it's kind of calming. And all those things are true. However, the breath is the foundation for our stability between our rib cage and our pelvis. And I learned that as I started doing it, because I could feel myself like doing this. So my ribs would flare out all the time. My low back would be super extended, and I could feel myself like kind of realigning. I could feel my core lighting up like crazy, like really low, like under my belly button. I was feeling my actual core lighting up like crazy when I was doing this breath work with Jordan. And it was unreal. I never felt anything like that. I've done every single functional core exercise you could think of, whether it be the rotating with the bands or stepping and throwing and all types of stuff. And I'd never felt this in my life. And this was the first time I understood the power of breath work, because it's not just for meditation. It's not just preparatory. It's not just an afterthought. It is the thought. It is the foundation of everything that we're doing. And I learned that it was missing in everything. No one was breathing the way he was showing me. No one was breathing in their basic movements, just sitting down or doing a hip hinge or doing a squat, or, just reaching for something. I didn't understand the importance of that stability at my middle, and how that was just going to decompress everything around it. And here we are.
Hmm. Fascinating. Yeah, I mean, I've read a lot, and read a lot. Hmm. More like listen to a lot of different people talk about breath work for meditation and then for your brain, right? There's a lot of stimulation in your brain that you can do with just your breathing. So if you start breathing really quickly, your brain will register that there's either a fear or there's anxiety. So you can trick yourself to do different things through your breathing related to the brain. Now,
Right.
the way you're describing it related to the body and exercise, like I have never quite heard it that way. So you said the breathing is the workout. So how long of a workout is it? And are you familiar with the Wim Hof method? Like, is it tied to that? Is it different?
Yeah. Good question. I'm familiar with the Wim Hof method. It's not that at all. It's different in that we're very, how do I say this? We're very intentional with how we do it. So we're trying to direct the air in some space. I don't want to kind of go into teacher mode, but I'm going to kind of share my experience with it, I guess, and kind of continue telling that story. I learned that I was breathing into the front of my body for basically my entire life. My front rib cage had adapted to being like this and open, because all my breath was being pushed to the front, because I was so used to the shoulders back and down cue, and then, pull your head in, and you're supposed to walk around like a militant soldier. The problem with that is I learned that I was actually choking my spine, my thoracic spine, my upper back to be specific. So your upper back is curved like this, and your scapula, your shoulder blades sit on, each end. But what happens with that shoulders down and back cue is we see this happen. The shoulder blades come in, and this flattens, and it becomes choked essentially. And a lot of people, I've actually asked many people where they think their lungs are. And a lot of people, if this is my head and this is my neck, a lot of people think their lungs are like way down here, but they're right up here. They're right up where those shoulder blades are, and they sit right behind you. So like literally way up here. So if you're crushing, I learned that if you crush everything like that, oops, sorry, my camera's getting all blurry. Come on, there we go. So if we crush all that, your lungs can't expand posteriorly or to the back of your body. So you have no choice but to go this way. And what happens with that is when they push like that over and over again, your body adapts to that breathing pattern. So neuromuscularly, the connection between your brain and your muscles, as things move, your body is used to creating that stimulus to the front and not expanding in the back. And what happens is your lumbar spine is right here, like where your belly button is. And that's where the movement's happening. So your lumbar spine is constantly getting pulled and pushed, when it's truly meant to be stable. You know, if you ask somebody to do a deadlift, you would definitely not want them to do it with their lower back. You want to do it with their hips. But I learned that no one has real access to their hips because they don't have this. They don't have the stability at the middle to prevent the lower back from moving. It's doing this over and over again. It's kind of like so when you see a bicep curl, you do this, right? To do bicep curls, it's kind of like your lower back is bicep curling in everything we do. It's kind of side bicep curling, it's front bicep curling, it's back bicep curling. It's doing just a bunch of curls, and your brain gets so used to using it, so it defaults to it. If you just bent somebody over and told them to touch their toes, their lumbar erectors are going to go because it's so used to being dominant, and there's hypertrophy there. So there's growth there, because when a muscle goes through a stretch and contract cycle, a length and shorten cycle, there's hypertrophic signaling to it, depending on the stress of that contraction or whatever, based upon the weight that's at the end. And your body's like, okay, we need to put more stuff there because, with the demand is increasing to that area. Yeah. We need to put more stuff there. And that's, muscle growth. And in short, so when your lower back is just doing that over and over and over again, it gets really big and it gets dominant. Those erectors, I mean. So I learned that stemmed first from how we started breathing, breathing into our chest and into our bellies. And then when we started putting things over our head and weightlifting and benching and squatting, we're just further, reinforcing these breathing patterns because of the lack of stability we have in basically every joint attached to the torso. Because the torso is the middle, it's the center, it's the foundation. And that ribcage pelvis relationship where it needs to be stacked like this, like a Coke can when it's unopened. You push a hydraulic presser on a Coke can when it's unopened, it can take over 400, 500 kilograms of pressure. But the moment you open that Coke can, even with the contents still being inside, flat, it'll get crushed. So, I learned all this from Jordan, and it all started with the breath, and the breath is just so freaking powerful, and it's not being utilized nearly to its full potential.
So that created a huge shift, obviously for you, that you very passionately talk about. And I'm going to assume then you started teaching your clients about it. And how much of a difference did you see that make in their lives?
Yeah, good question. So at first I tried to do it all. I said, this is just a tool. I can use it like a tool. So, a tool in my toolbox. I can still do the FRC stuff. I can still lift super heavy, and I can just do mobility. But if you think back to what I said before, I was still considering it as an afterthought or a warm up or, a piece. It wasn't the thought. It wasn't the thing. So for some time I did both. And then eventually I slowly shifted. As I started putting the weights down, my body started changing rapidly, and it changed everything. It changed how I looked at training, how I looked at, personal training, exercise, all that. And, my clients just wanted results. So, and they trusted me because I've gotten them results for months, years. And they said, you know what, if this is something you believe in, I'm down. And they kept getting results,
So I'm curious now, because obviously, while a lot of people don't talk about the breathing for fitness, and it sounds like that's something that should be explored and talked about more, have you gone into exploring breathing again for the brain, like raising it up, because it has even more power than what you're even tapping into right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Sense? Yeah. In the beginning, the breath work is very sort of fight or flight stimulating. So it's very sympathetic driven in that the brain is like, whoa, holy crap, this is crazy. Anything new or foreign to the brain is usually stressful in some capacity. You think you try and lift a new weight, it's a little bit heavier, it's going to be more stressful than the lighter weight. Or if you run a little bit longer, it's going to be more stressful than running shorter. Or if
but it's not a bad stress. Like it's a good stress for the brain. It's
yeah,
just like trying something new, doing something new.
absolutely.
It wakes the brain up. It's like, oh, not used to this. What's happening? And it has to pay attention, because the brain, I tell people, the brain's very lazy. It wants to be on autopilot. That's
100%.
the default that it looks for, so that it preserves energy, and it likes that state. So when you give it that stress or that novelty, you're waking it up. It's paying more attention. It's being more conscious. It has to exert more energy, but then it's gonna restabilize. It's gonna take what you're giving it, find its new level, and say, okay, I'm back to, I get this. And then once you keep doing that, that's how you keep working your brain and doing neuroplasticity and anything that's related to your body as well.
Right.
I just want to clear that up so people don't think like it's stress where it's releasing cortisol and it's a negative. It's not. It's a positive.
Yeah, people associate stress and even cortisol with negative things. I mean, cortisol is a vital hormone for us. We need it. It is the most important thing for our survival, because as you alluded to, the brain and the nervous system have one job: survival, preservation. It wants to keep you alive. It doesn't care that we want 6 packs and want to squat 350 pounds. It doesn't care about any of that. It just wants to survive and live. And that stress in the beginning with the breath work, but the flexibility stuff is inherently stressful for the brain, because, whoa, this is such new stuff. But eventually it wants more. It starts to residually grab on to some of these neural patterns, some of these motor units that haven't been fired in a long time. It starts like, ooh, this is good, because stability is efficiency, it's security, it's comfort. The brain, as you said, it likes stable. It likes to find a stability throughout the body, and it's constantly searching for it. So if we can give it something that's more stable, it may not like it at first, but it's like, oh, you know what? Actually, this is better. Let's start doing this. And I learned all of this in real time and with my clients, and they were feeling it. Their back pain was disappearing. Knee pain. They were running and jumping and wrestling and doing all the things they used to do that they couldn't do before, because we started just working on breath work and just, getting their hips stronger, getting them more stable, getting them more decompressed, learning how to translate that into their daily lives. And it just changed the game big time.
Oh, well, that is really awesome. And aside from actually getting into it, I think we've covered the bases. Before we start playing the first time lightning round, how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
learn more and get to experience this? Because I'm assuming, because you're an online coach, so you do a lot of this online. So how do people find you, and so they can possibly explore this as a first time for themselves?
Yeah. Thank you for giving me that opportunity. So you can find me on Instagram at Coach Chronic, CoachKronic. You can find our main hub at Flobility, Flobility, spelled just how it sounds. And I'm going to give your audience a free mini series so they can experience it for free. I want to say it's between 45 minutes to an hour, depending on, you got to watch the videos and try it and watch the video. But it's a full breath, core, and glute series that we have going around. It's unlike anything you've ever done in your life. So just give it a shot and feel free to DM me with questions, and I'll make sure to give Ann that for the show notes so she can give that to the audience.
Yeah, I will add that, and I will definitely try it out.
Cool.
I will have my first and go experience it.
Yes.
Yeah, I have fallen back into the entrepreneurial workaholic mode, and I knew this. I made this mistake before. I made this mistake again. And I haven't quite turned my mindset back into getting my health back on track, but sometimes you just need that trigger, and I can definitely do a breath course. It sounds like it's not too demanding. Or to be determined, right?
TBD.
All right. Well, I will definitely try it and report back.
Awesome.
All right. So let's do this. Let's play the first time lightning round. All right. So the way that this works is I'm gonna give Karon 10 different first time options.
Ooh.
And if it's something that he has done before, then it's swipe up. So if he was on the app, he would swipe up. If it's something that he's never done, not interested, then we go left. If it's something that he's never done, would like to do and add to his list, then we go right. Are you ready?
I think so.
Okay, first one, ride in a self-driving car.
I have done it,
You have done it.
and I would do it again. So right?
So it's up. Done
Oh, it's
it,
up.
then it's up. Yeah.
Okay.
What kind of car was it?
It was an Uber. I don't remember if it was a Tesla or not, but it was just in one of the self-driving Uber cars. It was really cool. It was really,
Oh, right.
really
So
cool.
it was. Wait, there was not even a driver at all? It was the full.
Oh no, not the full experience. There was a driver, but
there was a driver, but
the driver was there just to make sure. But the car was just driving itself.
Okay,
It was super cool.
Yeah, because I think some cities have the actual full automated cars, but it's very limited places. So
That's crazy.
I didn't know if there was one of those. Okay, awesome. Do scrapbooking.
Scrapbooking.
Yep. So it's like collecting images, pictures, and putting in a scrapbook and kind of.
Does digital count?
Technically, I suppose.
I'll go like a diagonal because I do it digitally, but I haven't done it in paper, and I would do it in paper. So I'll go like top right.
Okay, top right. Awesome. Okay, watch a hula dance show.
Haven't done it. I guess I would. Yeah, sure. I'll go right.
Yeah, that's have you ever been to Hawaii? If you go to Hawaii, you gotta go watch.
Have you been to Hawaii too?
Dance. Yes, I have.
You're quite a traveler. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was on my way back from Okinawa. I stopped into Hawaii and I did on the beach.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
It was a good experience. Very awesome.
That's awesome.
Okay, next one. Donate food.
Yes.
That's up. Take a Pilates class.
Yes.
Yes. What was your first Pilates experience like?
Very hard. To be quite honest, I'm being super honest here. My hip flexors were burning. They were like cooked, and I didn't understand why at first, but it's a lot of relation to what our previous conversation was about. Sure. But it was super hard.
Yeah, Pilates is not. It's no joke. Okay, eat Spanish cuisine.
Oh yeah, I'm Latino.
Oh well.
Oh, you mean like Spanish as in Spain?
Yeah.
I would. I don't think I have.
Okay. All right. So that's all right. Visit a maple house.
What's a maple house?
So where they must have. So from Canada. So
they make syrup.
Where they make syrup. Yeah.
Oh, I haven't. That'd be cool. I'll go right.
Yeah, it's awesome. So usually you go for breakfast and they do the full big breakfast with all the syrup. And if you go in Canada, they have them in Vermont too. They might have them in Pennsylvania somewhere. Maybe. But there's all the different maple products. And one of the things I remember the most is like the Laffy Taffy maple, and they put they pull it on the bank of snow, and you take a stick and you roll it on a stick and you eat it.
That sounds great.
I love maple. I always have the real stuff in the fridge, and I might take a sip of it in the morning. All right, play the roulette.
Play the roulette. Oh, like in a casino?
Yep.
Oh, never. I wouldn't do that. I ain't losing my money.
Well, just to experience it can be like $10 just to experience it. No.
Yeah, still left.
Oh, all right. That's interesting. Play ping pong.
Oh yeah, love ping pong.
Love ping pong. Go to Jazz Fest.
Oh yeah, Ben. I used to go when I was a kid.
Oh, do you remember? What was your favorite part of going to Jazz Fest?
Seeing Indy Irie live.
Oh.
That was incredible. She is incredible.
Awesome. Very nice. Okay, final question. How have you been making the best of the current situation with the pandemic?
Oh, that's a good question. Adaptation, pivoting, a lot of focus on mental health, journaling, meditation, walking, staying, in shape, training every day, sometimes twice a day, and just being very aware. And I've also been talking to my therapist once a month digitally. I saw her for a week. Sorry, I saw her for a week. I saw her every week for a year before this happened. And we kind of just started stopping at the frequency. And then Corona hit and I hadn't talked to her for a while. So, just focus on those things. And it's been great. It was hard in the beginning because, I lost a lot of money, lost a lot of clients. And I understood that it was no fault of my own. I was grinding, I was working hard. And at that point I had to say, well, can't do anything about it. Let's just figure it out. And that's just been my motto when things kind of hit the fan, just figure it out.
Yeah. You've got this, I mean, life figured out. You have such a great outlook and you reach out to the people that you need. Like you said, you reached out and you got a mentor and you invested in that and getting the information, the experience from somebody else so you can go that much faster. And then, having a therapist and dealing through and working through your growth, your development. I mean, that's all such like really great, amazing stuff. And having that self-awareness and everything that you do, that's incredible.
Thank you.
So it's the path that everyone kind of needs to get themselves on.
So true.
So that you progress as a human being so much faster. And, I don't doubt at all that you're going to do some really amazing things in your life as you continue on.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Keep up, everything that you do and the great work and educating people about breath work. And thank you. And thank you for sharing your story and coming on.
Absolutely. It's been such a pleasure. It's actually a lot of fun. I like the idea of the lightning round. I have a podcast myself. I'm gonna have to steal that.
I was going to say, I'm about to trademark that. Or you can do a different kind of lightning round. So I have the first time lightning round. You can have maybe a fitness lightning round. I don't know. Yeah. I'm in the process of trademarking that because I was like,
oh yeah, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, that's a super cool idea. I mean, it lightens things up. It keeps it fun. I love the idea. It's a great application, especially for podcasts.
Yeah. Well, and it's tied to the app. Like literally everything that I ask my guests are things that are on the app. It's awesome. The function of the app. And I've discovered it's such a great and fun way of learning new things about somebody very quickly, right? Awesome. It's like 10 completely different things. And
just random questions.
Just random question. And I've gotten some answers that's just like never, ever would have thought that. And the best one this week I've been telling everyone is Mike's answer to, so Mike Olton was my guest on Tuesday. And I asked him, have you ever participated in a fashion show? And he was like, yeah. He goes, when I was in jail in Mexico. I'm like,
what?
I am officially retiring that question because no one will ever match that. That
is quite an answer. I have a lot of questions for that answer.
He has written a book about his experiences in the Mexican jail. So, and he's been in Canadian jails. He's very interesting guy. And and that's why I love doing this, meeting extremely interesting people.
Yeah.
And you're right up there. And like I said, very, very impressed on how you've lived your life so far. And
thank you so much.
I would be interested in finding out more. I have to do a different show, but finding out more if that's from mom or where you got this sense of going for it and living life to the fullest, no matter what it means and it represents and what you have to go through for it.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
All right, awesome. Well, enjoy the rest of your day and your week.
Thank you. You as well, Anne. Thanks again for having me on.